With the fate of the Marvel Netflix shows still up in the air, there's been a lot over the last couple of weeks in regards to what could happen with these characters, and would Marvel Studios even care to bring back any of them, including the actors that played them. I asked in another video, and many of you said, yeah, do that long video explaining how you would bring back every character, so let's get into it. So first up, let's just go over the basics before we get into how I would bring these characters back, the contractual things, and all that. First and foremost, these series were all made by Disney, ABC, and Marvel TV. Netflix had no hand in actually making the shows. They were the distributor. They were just the outlet where the shows went. Sort of like how Warner Brothers actually made multiple TV shows, but the shows get distributed through the likes of Fox or Universal-owned channels like Sci-Fi. Now, we know for a fact that they talked about the Netflix characters having movie contracts, specifically the fact that Charlie Cox's Daredevil has a movie contract that was part of his deal. Who knows how long that was in place for and what happened to it, and does it even hold any ground anymore due to, timing of everything. Now, at the same time, when it comes to the Netflix contracts, this is where it gets difficult as well, because the characters were technically owned by Netflix. Kind of think of it as the former deal that was happening with Sony, that was happening with Fox, where Netflix, because they were the distributor, they were the outlet that puts it out, they didn't want these characters appearing on their rival content, so Disney couldn't use them. That's why there's a 2-year wait period after the cancellation of each one. So Disney just has to wait till the time is up and then they can use the characters. So again, there's varying timetables on each character, but 2 years after the general cancellation is how long it is. So with that in mind, we're going to get into how would I do it, where, why this way, and all that on a character by character basis. So with that in mind, the first character I'm getting into is Jessica Jones. Now, for full disclosure, I did not watch the final season of Jessica Jones. I just had no interest. I absolutely hated and despised the second season, the one with her mom, and that completely just turned me off the whole series, which is rare because I absolutely loved the first season and I try to stick through with everything comic books. And I think it was the notion that I knew that it was getting canceled that kind of just made me not want to invest my time or waste my time into the season. I know everything that happens, and honestly, Jessica Jones, I think you just bring her back in a natural way. You bring her back doing what she's done best, which isn't drinking. You just make her be involved in a case that's somehow involved in something else in Marvel Studios. Now, obviously, in the comics, she's had friendship relationships with the likes of Captain Marvel, so honestly, maybe you could do something with that. Maybe you full on go and make her the character of Jewel. I mean, that'd be interesting if you were to suddenly, make her fly in that suit and everything, but then again, it's Marvel Studios. Reinvention. You could do it, I have no doubt they could, so it'd be an interesting way to do it, and I'd probably just be okay with it depending on how it was handled. Next up, we have Luke Cage. Coulter himself is probably one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. Honestly, he essentially is Luke Cage in real life when it comes to attitude, personality, and just how much he loves life. It was kind of honestly refreshing to see that he wasn't really acting, and that kind of brings me to him and sort of Iron Fist, but I'll separate the two here. So Luke Cage, I think you bring him back with where his story left off, and obviously he was becoming this crime lord whether he liked it or not. He was becoming essentially what he was trying to defeat, and Harlem was looking up to him now, and how would he handle everything. So I think for him, you could involve him with something else that's going to be coming, down the road. Maybe a second season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you could toss Luke Cage into as somebody that they need. Maybe there's a subplot that takes them to Harlem. I think there's a way to involve the character and that whole crime syndicate, and maybe I don't know, bring in the Serpent Society or something, honestly, like into future seasons of Marvel, make them based out of New York, and have him kind of tag along with it. Now, yeah, that's a departure for the character, but I don't think we're going to see the type of show that they wanted to do for season 3, which was, this like mob boss crime style show. I just don't think that's in Marvel Studios' wheelhouse. So I think you, like Jessica Jones, have to take this character and kind of make him more comic book-like, and I think a way to do it is exactly that. You go more comic book-like by introducing something ridiculous and tying him into the MCU closer. Now, this next one is the tough one, Iron Fist. What do you do with Iron Fist? I think Finn Jones, having met him a couple times and talking to him, absolutely amazing. He lives the life of, hey, I'm gonna go meditate here and, center my chi for a couple hours. Dude is super nice, super friendly, and I think that's honestly something that they could use. But that show is so tainted that I just don't think that they would want to bring back Iron Fist in anything more than a supporting role. So what I would do is, honestly, if they have time, bring him back in Shang-Chi. When the contract is up, when they're shooting in October, when they're back to shooting, use the next couple of months, work in Iron Fist into the subplot of the tournament, and don't even have him really be in the tournament. Just have Iron Fist show up and be like, Kunlun can't compete this year, but in 10 years, we'll be back when it appears again, but it just, something's off. Kunlun, it's not going good. And honestly, you just kind of put that there because we kind of know what happened with Kunlun. Oh, the city destroyed, all that. And you see how the crowd responds. If the crowd likes it, then maybe you do something with that. But honestly, I just don't think you can bring this character back and do it justice. So it hurts me to say, but I think you would have to reboot Iron Fist from the ground up. You'd have to reboot it with the Immortal Iron Fist story arc properly, and maybe you do Orson Randall first, and then you expand upon it and you recast and reboot with Danny, which would honestly be probably the best course of action. Just too much baggage attached to this show, and the negativity surrounding it just would not help. Frank Castle, possibly the easiest one here. You're gonna bring him back in Moon Knight, or you bring him back pretty much anywhere you can fit a soldier into, which would be honestly into most things set on Earth. Falcon and the Winter Soldier Season 2? Sure, here's Frank Castle. Does She-Hulk have a new job defending somebody? Here's Frank Castle. Honestly, the Thunderbolts, you could really put the character into many locations and he would be just fine. Now, I think a softish reboot would be in order. I think you keep John Bernthal, but you sort of just kind of ignore what's happened before. Obviously, it's all existed. It's all happened before, but you don't need to directly address all of that. And Marvel Studios has found a good way to be able to bring people into the modern day setting of everything without completely needing to explain everything to everybody that's maybe missed a movie. So maybe you take Frank Castle and send them to Las Vegas or somewhere where there aren't currently Marvel superheroes in the MCU flying around and doing stuff, and just unleash them there, set it in the MCU, and maybe make an appearance or two of other characters, and that's really that. But I think he's pretty simple, and honestly, his best appearance would be just put him in Moon Knight, or Blade even. Like, he can fit anywhere darker. And last up, we have Daredevil. Daredevil, Charlie Cox said he believes they'll recast Daredevil. I don't think they will. I think you would soft reboot again. You can't make a 4th season because that wouldn't make sense, because people would be like, wait, where's the other seasons on Disney Plus? Oh, they're not here? Okay, interesting. Oh, they might be on Hulu once the licenses elapse? Interesting. So again, you don't do that, and it's got to be a Marvel Studios product because it'll be under Kevin Feige. So Daredevil, soft reboot the character. You make him show up in Moon Knight. There you go. That's your in. You bring back Charlie Cox, you update his suit, you bring back maybe Foggy or somebody, or you put Foggy maybe into She-Hulk as somebody that's an associate of hers that she talks to, and we just kind of get drops of this world that exists. and then slowly from there you build up the rest of it. You bring him back in something that's going to require him in New York. I don't know what that's going to be. You bring back the Kingpin, maybe have Kingpin be funding the Thunderbolts. There you go, him and Thunderbolt Ross working together. And you bring back Bullseye, they need, somebody to stop them. So we get a new team of Avengers that forms. Maybe you do, Moon Knight, Daredevil, a few other characters on the darker side of things, and they take on the Thunderbolts, and there you go. Honestly, I think Daredevil is the safest, and I think he'll be the one that we can kind of guarantee is coming back.